Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see, in this game I'm playing the Tier 10 Imperial Japanese Navy destroyer Harugumo, or Harugumo, uh, maybe Harugumo. Anyway, you can see the map is Tears of the Desert, and the mode is Epicenter, Tears of the Desert. Once upon a time used to be called Tears of the Cruiser, and the reason for that was the map was turned about 45 degrees from where it is right now. Clockwise, if you're looking at the minimap. And what that meant was teams generally pushed up behind one set of rocks or the other, and anything that went into the center uh, would just get completely flattened in no time at all. It was particularly difficult for cruisers. So what they did was they turned the map 45 degrees counterclockwise, which pushed all of the rocks to one side or the other, and then they changed the spawn from just pure north and south to diagonally opposed corners. So there's a kind of an open space that you can see there between the two spawn points. Anyway, it did make a difference, and it was a good change to the game, I think. Now, why am I showing you a Harugumo game? Well, it's because I had not played this game. If I had to guess, I had not played this ship in probably a year. There have been a lot of changes to the game since the last time I played this thing, including the commander skills rework. And I took advantage of the current 2-week period to change commander skills. And I probably have 20 or 30 of the ships I'm hoping to do this with. But anyway, basically what I did was the same build that I have on my Shimakaza, with the exception of instead of taking a 3-point and a 1-point torpedo enhancement skill, I took a range improvement, which was 4 points, which gave me, you can see on the minimap there, a considerable boost of range from 12 point something to 15.1 kilometers, which is really nice. Now I'm radared here, but I'm just going to move back, get out of radar range. I'm going to take a little bit of damage, but it won't be too bad. It's when you have to get close in this thing that it gets really difficult. And part of the reason for that is the ship is big and it does not move all that well. So it is a very attractive target for cruisers. I'll use my commander build as the thumbnail for this replay, so you can check that out if you're interested. And I think this is probably a good variant for a lot of gunboats. I used the same build. Now you can see, look at the shells fell short there, and I was aiming really high. I'm not exactly sure why this. I think it's got to be a bug. I mean, I know there have been others that have complained about it, but at any rate, let me tell you a little bit about the Harugumo in case you don't know. The guns are 100s, but it's got improved values for the 100 millimeter guns, which means that you know, it's got decent pen, despite the fact that they're only 100 millimeter shells. Okay, so it's got 5 turrets, 2 barrels per turret. Reload time, base reload time, 3 seconds. So you're going to put out a lot of shells with this thing. Maximum dispersion, and this is at the base range, which is 12.55 kilometers, 109 meters. But still, even with the range upgrade, your dispersion's not going to be bad at all. In fact, it's really, really good. The max damage on the HE shells is only 1,200, but you're putting out 10 every few seconds. And you know, if you've got things to improve it, which you can see that I do. Yeah, my base reload's 2.4 seconds right now. You're gonna start some fires. So back to the shells. Oh, 1200 max on the HE shells with a base fire chance of 5%. That drops to 2.5% if you take IFHE. And you can see what I was talking about. This ship, it handles more like kind of a fat cruiser than anything else as far as its maneuverability. It's not great. We'll get to that in a minute. But by taking the, and you see I landed a torp there on the Vermont, yay. And by taking the radio location skill, I will generally have some idea of where the nearest threat is, and that's often going to be a destroyer, which tells me how I need to angle to avoid potential incoming torpedo strikes. I'm trying to get the Vermont burning. So you can see I'll just stick with that. I'll just keep firing over the island here. So there's one fire. I changed my aim position a little bit. Anyway, back to the shells. AP shells do a maximum of 1700 damage. All right, so torpedoes. These are very hard-hitting Japanese torpedoes. You've got one torpedo rack with 6 torpedoes, but you can see I've got a torpedo reload booster, so you can put out 12 at a time, basically, multiple times in the game. But this is primarily, at least in my opinion, a gunboat. The detection radius, if you take the commander skill and the ship upgrade, you can get it down to a respectable 6.1, 6.2. But there's still going to be a lot of things that are going to outspot you. So my fires are still burning, still racking up damage. I'm going to let him fire, I think, before I do anything here. Okay, there's some shells coming out. Time to put some more shells on him, I think. Okay, so the AA. Well, AA is, I think, pretty pathetic, but most ships, that's true these days, I think. So we talked about the fact that it doesn't handle well. It's got a decent max speed of 35.7 knots. You can add to that a speed flag, get it a little bit higher. But the turning radius, 830 meters. Rudder shift isn't terrible at 5.5 seconds, but that huge turning circle means that if you push in close and you have to do some rapid maneuvers, this thing can really let you down. See, we lost our Montana there. Surface detectability, the base is 7.92 kilometers. All right, so you can see that this is a lot of Daka. All right, so at this point, 278 shells on target, 5 fires, 1 incapacitation, landed a torpedo for a flood, which is why I was able to get those fires burning, and I've spotted 5 ships. By the end of the game, it's 140. Well, it's just shy of 143 damage. It's not record-breaking by any means. I probably need to double that or more to do that, but it's certainly respectable. With 406 shell hits, started 8 fires. Ended up with a score-topping 2,213 base XP, and because I had loaded up with a lot of the Dragon Flags, 61,466 Elite Commander XP, and that's, I'm doing that because I went from having I think 20 or 22 19-point commanders to having 2 21-point commanders. So I've been working to get all my 21-point commanders back. I think with this ship, it's now at 14. Anyway, that's why I ended up with that high Elite Commander XP score. Get a chance to put some shells on a sub here. The visuals are tough. It's tough to hit those things sometimes. Now, a quiet moment. Now the good guys at this point are just mopping this up, and this is going to end kind of abruptly. But I wanted to say that if you haven't already, now is a great time to test out different commander builds and also to swap out modules and stuff. I think you can do both for free for, I think, the remainder of this week. And that's that's a really big deal. I mean, it's fun to try new builds out. I mean, maybe they work, maybe they don't. This one, at least for me, it worked great. You can see that I'm radared there, but I know where the cruiser is. I can just angle up, see if I can get some shells on this vampire. And because I've taken some damage, you can see that my base reload is, what, 2.3? 2.2, 2.3 seconds. Every 2.2 or 2.3 seconds, pumping out 10 shells. And, you know, the trajectories aren't phenomenal. I mean, it's not Russian in terms of the arcs and stuff, but it's certainly decent. Let's see if I can thread these needles here. So, just want to survive. Get some shells on the Summers. These guys decided here toward the end that they wanted me out of the game. I think the reload's down to 2.1 seconds. And now I'll see if I can't get some shells on Des Moines. And as long as you're not hitting, you know, torpedo protection or anything like that, you hit superstructure, you'll still be able to do a little damage, even without the IFHE skill. And just like that, the bad guys are down to 2 ships. Okay, so having the radio location skill, I know right where that vampire's at, more or less. And I'm really happy with this build. Really happy with it. I guess thank goodness that there's no more team damage. Puerto Rico just pushed right into the torpedoes there. Down goes the Henri, and it's just the vampire. So I will say thank you very much for spending a little time here. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.